Greetings from beautiful Alaska. We're up here doing a cruise and checking out all the scenery, going on some really awesome hikes and whatnot. But one thing I've noticed since I started wearing, well, I'll tell you, give you a little background. We're going to talk about barefoot running and the minimalist footwear. Now, I'm not an authority on the subject or anything, but I've been dabbling with it for a few months, and I'll just tell you what I've found and see if any of you can maybe appreciate some of the, maybe save yourself from some of the injuries I've had or some of the problems I've had. So whenever I wear these are Vibram 5 Fingers, the Bikilas is the model. They've got the really cool tread patterns on the bottom and everything to activate each foot patch and whatnot. Whenever I wear these, people commonly ask me, oh, what's the deal with that? Are they comfortable? And it's hard to answer because what I found with these is that it's not just a shoe. Where we're used to buying a shoe and nothing fancy about it. You got a shoe, it's got a rise in the back, it's got your laces, it's a normal shoe, nothing fancy about it. But with the Vibrams or any of the minimalist footwear, it's not just a shoe like what we're normally used to. It's almost more of a lifestyle shift, or at least that's how it seems to me, because when you start running minimalist or even walking minimalist, you're giving up the padding. You're also your ankle and your Achilles tendon. You're used to walking on a pad, so when you take that pad away, just that stretch right there is going to stretch your Achilles tendon, even if you weren't adding any other trauma or muscular change or shift to your posture or any of the other things that switching to a more minimalist shoe does. Just that stretch on your Achilles, you should expect it to take several months at least, just to stretch out the Achilles and get your Achilles tendon used to that. So in my humble opinion, it's more of a lifestyle shift. When I first started doing the barefoot minimalist running, I pushed way too hard. The best analogy I can come up with is regular shoes are, imagine you took a baby and as soon as they were a couple months old, you started putting boxing gloves on their hands all the time. If you went your whole life with boxing gloves on your hands, you wouldn't think of your hands as these articulate things. You can pick stuff up and throw things around. Your hands would be these big mitts, and you would drink from a cup with both of them pinched between like that, and you wouldn't really have all the articulation in your hands because they're wrapped up in these big gloves all the time. That's essentially what we do with our feet from the time we're born. That's become our culturally accepted way of doing things, and it literally cripples our feet. You can go online and look up various photos of people who have normal barefoot feet and then are crippled feet from basically toe binding with our normal shoes. So let's get back to talking about the whole lifestyle of it. So first off, you gotta switch very slowly, but if you're only switching, I have a buddy, he got a pair of these and he went for a long walk and they hurt his feet so bad because once again his feet have been in these boxing gloves his whole life. Once they actually had to wake up, you've got all these little muscles and all these bones and all these little ligaments and tendons in your feet, and they haven't had to ever really be used. They've been in these boxing gloves. So when you wake them up, I mean, just the fact that when people try to put these on, they usually can't even get their toes into the toes properly because your feet have no articulate. Your toes have never had to be used for anything. Think about if you were to go into a handstand. You don't go into a handstand like this. You go into a handstand like this. And yet our feet are like this. When you look at a barefoot runner's foot, someone who from Kenya or something who's a native barefoot runner, their feet are not like this. Their feet are like this. They reach out. They feel. They're a little flatter. The arches are actually being engaged, and it's just, in my humble opinion, again, I think it's the natural, healthier way to operate. So what I've tried to do is switch all of my footwear to minimalist. When I'm performing, I'm still using a normal shoe. It's a skateboard shoe, so it has relatively little support and not a ton of arch support, but I'm going to switch that eventually too. I've got a pair of Merrell minimalist shoes that will hopefully replace those. But for every day, I've got the Vibrams, which I'm pretty happy with. I've got a pair of KSOs as well. Now the KSOs are more like almost like a water shoe. They're just kind of a neoprene. They don't have all the different pads on the bottom. They're just even more minimalist than the Bikilas here. But I really do like the Bikilas. They've got a little padding, so that's kind of cool. But what I really want to talk about today, before I put these away, I just did a 30-minute run. A couple of days before I left on the cruise, I did my very last normal shod run in a pair of normal shoes. And if you saw my other video, you saw the blisters I got. I'll give you a quick recap of these crazy blisters that I got from my normal running shoes. This was them pretty much at their peak. As you can see, they're pretty gross. They're getting much better. I've got these like little blister patch thingies on now that are really helping. So they're healing up. But that was what kind of made me decide I'd had it with the regular running shoes. And yeah, so now I'm switching to these. But I ran 13.5 miles in the regular running shoes with my boxing glove shoes, and had a really good run. It was fun. Tore up my my arches, obviously. But I've been reduced down to about a 30-minute run in these because my feet still have to build up. All those little muscles have to build up. And if you do decide to go minimalist, people are always on all the forums and everything. It says go slow, go slow, go really slow. 2-3 months at least, just short runs. Try to walk them out. But this is the meat and the potatoes of the argument, because I also have these. These are Luna sandals out of Seattle. They have the little Luna sandal, and these are based off of, if you've heard of Born to Run, which if you're interested in minimalist running or just minimalist footwear in general, I'm almost certain you've probably heard of it or read it. It's this is Barefoot Ted's take on, I don't know if you can see that real well, Barefoot Ted's take on the Tarahumara Copper Canyon Indians footwear. This is kind of what they wore, and he's adopted their original design from the tire tread and strapping to this. So you can get these at Luna Sandals. Again, I'm not affiliated with Luna Sandals in any way, shape, or form, but these are really cool. So these have become my everyday sandals because I wear flip-flops all the time, representing my Southern California roots. So these are my everyday, normal, all-the-time sandals, and you can also run in these. I have not yet gotten to run in these, but I'm really excited to give them a try. The only thing I've run into is I have a little bit of trouble with keeping the heel strap up over my heels, but that could very well just be that I have them tied up wrong because I had to put them together very quickly when they came to come out on this cruise. So if you do wear sandals, or if you're looking for a minimalist trail shoe or whatever, these are the, what are these called? Leadvilles. These are the Leadvilles. So these have the 10mm sole, and they have the ATS strapping. Really happy with these. I wear them all the time, every day. Next time I'm in Seattle, I'm actually going to go try to meet up with them at their little yeah, look at that, made in Seattle, yeah! I'm going to go try to meet them over there at the Workshop Factory storefront. I'm not exactly sure what they're operating out of, but highly recommend these. I love them. It's a great gateway everyday shoe for getting you more minimalist. They do have some padding, as opposed to the Vibrams, which have obviously protection, but very little padding. These have a tiny bit of padding, no arch support. They mold to your foot. Really happy with these. Virtually no complaints. I'm hoping I can get the little strap issue kind of figured out, or maybe they're just going to break in once I walk them out wet a few times or something. But yeah, highly love highly recommend and love the Luna sandals from out of Seattle by Barefoot Ted. They have a whole bunch of different models, lots of different options, different lacing options. You can get one of their popular options is you can get hemp laces, so it's all natural, and apparently hemp, when it gets wet, so if you're running in wet conditions, tightens up instead of loosens up like most fibers, so you'll actually get a tighter fit when you run in wet conditions, which is kind of an interesting thing I'd like to try sometime. But yeah, if you're thinking about going minimalist, recommendations: go very slow. Try to think of it more as a lifestyle. If you just buy one pair, so many people I've talked to say they have a pair of Vibrams, or they're this one lady in the elevator said, "Oh, my daughter has a pair of Vibrams, but she never wears them." And I think that's largely just that your feet are not adapted to it. It's not something you're used to, and unless you really kind of commit to switching over to it as a more of a full-time lifestyle and letting your feet get healthy. The scientists and doctors are still out as to whether normal shoes are better for your feet or running barefoot or minimalist is better for your feet. There's very difficult to prove one way or the other. So I guess it's back to the old do whatever works for you. The very first time I ever went running minimalist, I just went running barefoot, and I had such a great time. It was so free and awesome. I loved it, but I ran until the concrete literally shaved some of the skin off the bottom of my feet. So then I thought, oh, I'll go get some Vibrams, which will protect my feet. But your feet are there's a natural progression to things, and if your feet are getting peeled off because the calluses are not built up, well, that's probably an indicator that the things underneath the surface are not built up either. So just running purely barefoot may be a really good indicator, because if your skin starts to let loose, then the muscles and fibers and whatnot underneath are probably not built up to barefoot running either. So make sure that if you do go for a barefoot run, you don't just say, oh, I'll get some Vibrams and now I can run as long as I want. That was not my experience. I injured my Achilles and kind of threw my hands up and said the barefoot movement's not for me. But when you put these on, you just feel so free. They're so light. They feel so good. And I know this video is just rambling on and on. Thank you for your patience if you're still with me. But yeah, I just want to really drive home the fact that I think this is the better way to go. I really am excited to see where this all ends up. I've got a sprint triathlon coming up. Let's see, wow, where is the time gone? Can't believe it's already Monday. Sprint triathlon on Saturday, so I'll be leaving Alaska on Thursday, first thing in the morning. I'll be up at like 5 o'clock in the morning Thursday, traveling all day Thursday through the night. We'll fly from Skagway to Juneau, Juneau to Seattle, Seattle to Miami, and then Friday morning I'll be flying from Miami to Orlando, getting home, getting all my gear together, driving to Tampa, overnighting in Tampa, waking up crack of dawn Saturday, and then going and doing the sprint tri, which would be great. I'm excited about that. And then the next race is, I think there's one more Olympic triathlon coming up, and then in October I've got a 70.3 half Ironman, so I'm excited about that, and I'm hoping I can run minimalist by then. If not, I'll be in my old shoes, but I'm really hoping that my legs and feet are built up to being able to run the 13 miles minimalist by then. And then in December there's Tough Mudder. If you've never checked out Tough Mudder, definitely go take a look. It's pretty darn cool. It's basically a half marathon obstacle course through mud and over fire and under barbed wire and jumping off platforms into the water. It's pretty cool. And then hopefully in January or spring I'll have my first marathon, and then I'm aiming for an Ironman, same thing, spring or summer. Probably not a sanctioned one, but there's a couple that are in the Orlando area, the Moss Park races and whatnot, so I'll hopefully do one of those. And then on April 1st they have the Crooms Foolish 50, which is, they have 3 different races that day. They have a 16-miler, a 50K, and then a 50-miler. So I'm going to sign up for the 50-miler to get myself a milestone, and hopefully run the entire 50 miles barefoot minimalist, not barefoot, but the barefoot style minimalist shoes, and that'll be in April. So that's kind of my timeline for runs, races, etc. I'll try to keep you guys posted. For all my regular viewers, I know this isn't really juggling or bar trick or travel, well, I guess a little bit travel related, but yeah, if you're into that, hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll catch you all later. Peace.